Good morning and welcome to the Damon Speech Contest 2018. Public speaking, also known as rhetoric, has a very long history at this school. This contest was founded by the Reverend Samuel Damon, a Punahou trustee. His son, Willie Damon, won the rhetoric competition in the year 1872. When young Willie died of typhoid fever just 5 years after graduation, his father donated a sum of money to the school for a speech contest in his son's memory. Of course, the contest has gone through a lot of changes over 141 years. In the beginning, for example, the speakers didn't write their own speeches. Instead, they memorized pieces from literature or plays or poetry and would recite them to the audience. Sometimes they even had musical accompaniment during the recitation. However, in 1921, the contest took the form it has today, with the speakers writing their own pieces and no pianos or violins playing in the background. The 8 contestants sitting up here on stage have a lot of history to live up to, but I'm confident of their speaking ability because each is already a winner. Just by getting into the finals, these 8 people rank as the top 2% of the speakers in your graduating class. I'd like to read their names for you, starting from the left. Evan Foster. P.A. Louis. Sophia Hilton. Eleanor Howell. Chloe DeVere. Jordan Eldridge Sakapolatele. Taylor Ogata. And Rachel Wagner. Now we have 9 judges seated in the hall this morning, including a member from the Academy Speech and Debate team. Here are the speech guidelines the judges will be following. The speech topic must be a problem, opinion, or concern with serious intent or goal. Humor may be used to emphasize a point or points, but the speech shall not be a stand-up comedy routine. There shall be no reading of prepared papers, nor shall there be costumes or props. Now within those guidelines, each judge will be choosing his or her top 3 speakers. You see, the contest is decided on points, and when a judge awards a first place, that's worth 16 points, the second place is worth 11, and the third place is worth 7 points. When the contest is over, we'll pause for a few minutes while Mrs. Teske and I add up all the points here, and then I will announce the bronze, silver, and gold medal winners and give them their laser-cut trophies that you can see up there. These were made by Mr. Loveman in the Makery. And also, their accounts will be accredited with $25 for bronze, $35 for silver, and $50 for gold. So, with no further ado, let's get going with our first speaker, Evan Foster. Evan's speech is entitled, Standing Up for the Uyghur People.
Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Or, as we say in the Uyghur language, Assalamu alaikum. Yakshimasiz. Our founding fathers gifted us a clear message that we are all created equal, that we possess certain unalienable rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When bullies, tyrants, and despots seek to take away basic human rights, they replace liberty and happiness with hopelessness and misery. There are 15 million Uyghurs living in far western China, and they are the ancestors of the people of modern Turkey. I am Uyghur. As I speak to you right now, the Chinese government and its security apparatus are actively persecuting, incarcerating, torturing, and oppressing the Uyghur people, my people. I believe that the inhumane and criminal treatment of the Uyghur people by the Chinese government must be stopped. In far western China, where the Uyghurs have lived for more than 2,000 years, they are regularly being abducted from their own homes or as they walk down the street by government agents. If friends or family members go to the police station and ask what happened, they will also be arrested for asking why. The police currently have a list of 75 reasons for which an Uyghur can be arrested, such as wearing a watch on the wrong wrist, standing with your legs spread too far apart, or walking too fast, or even walking too slow. Unbelievable. If you saw a big 8th grader beating up a 1st grader, wouldn't you yell, "Stop"? For the same reason, the United States government should tell the Chinese government to stop the inhumane and criminal treatment of the Uyghur people. Why is China allowed to hurt Uyghurs? 3 reasons. First, fear. Other governments, including ours, are afraid of the Chinese government. As China being the 2nd largest economy in the world, the idea of no longer buying or selling goods to and from China is scary. The US is $1.2 trillion in debt to China, or 19% of the US Treasury. Trade is a very big deal, and tragically, governments of the world, including ours, are afraid of bringing up China's human rights abuse for fear of upsetting the Chinese government. Second, money. China is either making low-interest loans, investing in large infrastructure projects, or purchasing government bonds in many countries around the world. The money coming from China is buying the silence of world leaders. Just last year, Egypt deported more than 60 Uyghur students back to China, where they were imprisoned, tortured, and at least 2 graduate students died in police custody. Now, China is funding a large new development project in Cairo, Egypt. Simply put, China is bribing politicians around the world. Third, not enough people know or care about this issue. That is why the Chinese government can arrest a well-respected professor of economics like Ilham Tohti, not feed him food for 10 days straight, shackle his feet for 20 days, and then sentence him to life in prison. People just don't know what's going on in Xinjiang. My Uyghur grandparents have visited Hawaii many times. When my brother, sister, and I were born, they were here to show their love and to help my parents. Now, the Chinese government has confiscated all passports issued to Uyghurs. My grandparents can't come and visit. They can't come see how wonderful my new school is. I believe that the solution begins here with each one of us. By informing others, we can shape public opinion. Only by standing together for what is right can we bring justice not only to Uyghurs, but to the whole world. If the 15 million Uyghurs knew how intently you have listened and how your hearts have been stirred by their difficult circumstances, it would mean the world to them. On their behalf, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is P.A. Louie. P.A.'s speech is entitled, "Stop Trying to Climb That Tree."
Albert Einstein once said, "If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Does school realize how many of us students can relate to that fish, thinking that we are useless failures who try so hard yet still can't climb that tree? Does school realize that it is robbing us from our creativity, individuality, and is being intellectually abusive to us? Is school proud of turning every single one of us into machines? Is this what we are calling a good education? This is why I believe our school system needs to be changed. First, the school system promotes a single path to success. I asked my little cousin what she wanted to be when she grew up. She said she wanted to be an actor, a dancer, a singer, and an artist. Then I asked my older cousin what she wanted to be. She had no idea. See, this is what the school system has done to her once creative and curious mind. In the 12 years of being in the school system, it stole her ability to be creative and to think outside the box, just like it is doing to children like us around the world. The school system has taught us that in order to be successful, we need to go to high school, get a diploma, go to a good college, and find a stable job. If this was true, then explain how the people who changed the world were people who thought outside the box. Our lives are so important, and if we stay on this so-called successful path, then in the end, it is not death in which we will fear, but getting to the end and realizing that we never truly lived will be our worst fear. Secondly, there has been no dramatic change in our entire school system in hundreds of years. Schools are preparing kids the same way they prepared kids hundreds of years ago since the industrial age with which to train factory workers. All students do then, and right now, is follow instructions just like a factory worker would do. Sit down, take out your textbook, turn to page 30, solve question 3, stop talking. We then repeat this cycle until we finish school. Not to mention that most of the stuff we're learning, we will forget. So what's the point? As you can see, the industrial age still mentally and physically runs deep in our school system. Sure, math, science, and English are important, but curriculars like shop, art, and dance aren't any less important. Right now in the world, we don't need factory workers. We need people who are innovative, cooperative, and connect and change our world for the better. Lastly, the school system teaches every single one of us the exact same way, even though we are all different. If I were to give every single kid in school a t-shirt, all the same size, and all the same shape, the results would be terrible. Only some could fit the shirt and most would be uncomfortable. Yet this is how our school system is teaching us. We all have different strengths, different needs, different hopes, and different dreams. Bubbling in a circle on a multiple choice test cannot and will not measure how smart we are. Howard Gardner came up with the theory of multiple intelligences. He said that there are auditory learners, kinesthetic learners, people who learn through touch, people who learn through stories. The fact that in school only one type of learning is preferred is horrific. According to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Education, 1.2 million students in the US alone drop out of school. Those are 1.2 million students that were tragic victims of our failing school system. In the words of Mark Twain, we cannot let our schooling interfere with our education. In conclusion, schools like Punho are offering and incorporating extracurriculars activities into their community. This is just one step in the right direction, but there is still a long journey ahead. People need to realize that our school system is outdated and ineffective. Tony Robbins once said, "There are only two options, make progress or make excuses." There should be no excuse why nothing has been done to change and improve our school system in hundreds of years. There is no doubt in my mind that our school system needs to be changed. The school system needs to be a place in which fish will never have to climb trees again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia. Our third speaker, Sophia Hilton. Sophia's speech is entitled, "We Need Feminism."
To
$21,698, just about enough to pay our Punahou tuition. On average, that is how much less money a black woman makes to a white man per year. It's even worse for a Latina woman. She makes over $26,000 less than a white man does. Why? Is it because she's working a lower paying job? Is it because she's less qualified? No. It is because she's a woman, and in today's society, women are treated as less than men. In addition to this, girls growing up with ignored oppression and sexual abuse are more likely to get depression and ultimately commit suicide. Feminists are not for the superiority of women. We want equality, we want equity, and we want to be treated with respect, not treated as objects. This is why we need feminism. First of all, feminism helps to reduce the presence of rape culture in our society. Rape culture is girls being forced to comply to rules put in place for them. It's not teaching boys not to rape, but teaching girls not to get raped. You may see it everywhere and not even realize it. It is the fear instilled into our culture. For example, in dress codes, when young girls are told that boys will be boys and girls just have to cover up, when they grow up, it will stick with them. When women and girls are raped, they are asked if they were wearing revealing clothing or if they were drunk. If the girls were, the blame will be on them and not the criminal. Our culture teaches girls to conform to set social barriers, to live in fear, instead of teaching boys to just behave humanely. My second example is sexual harassment and abuse. Women have been objectified since the beginning of time. Millions of women and girls are sexually assaulted. Every 98 seconds, another person experiences sexual abuse. According to the criminal justice system, 9 out of every 10 victims of rape are female. 1 in 5 college girls will be sexually assaulted. And out of 1,000 rapes, a mind-boggling 994 perpetrators will walk free. The women have kept quiet for so long because when they confess, they aren't believed. Our own president responded to recent confessions of sexual abuse with accusations of the victim lying. This is the culture allowing criminals to not hold accountability for their own actions. This is also seen in catcalling, when men sprout objectifying and vile comments to women just walking on the street. I was only 12 years old when I was catcalled for the first time. I felt disgusted at his boorish remarks, saying things I could never even repeat. This normalized harassment needs to stop. Finally, equality and equity in the workplace is tremendous. For every dollar a man makes, a woman only makes 79 cents, of course varying between races. Over the years, the wage gap has significantly shrunk, although in the past decade or so, progress has stalled. Along with gender discrimination, this is also caused by gender segregation across all professions. Women are underrepresented at every level because they aren't given equal opportunities. Women are less likely to be promoted, so fewer end up being leaders and CEOs. For every 130 men promoted, only 100 women are promoted. But it doesn't have to be this way. With feminism, we can peacefully protest the injustice in our society today. Feminism brings awareness and solutions to these overlooked and neglected problems. Feminism is for everyone who supports gender equality. Women are repressed, abused, and taken advantage of. But most importantly, women are strong and mighty and will never back down. You may think I'm a radical feminist, and I am. I'm mad because women's rights are human rights, and we deserve equality. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. Our fourth speaker, Eleanor Cowell. Eleanor's speech is entitled, Changing the Grading System.
You sit in a chilly classroom, panicking as the teacher hands out test scores worth 40% of your grade. You know you didn't do well, but your family won't be understanding. To them, a bad grade means you didn't try. Your heart sinks as you stare at the sea that reflects none of the studying, notes, and worksheets you spent your time on. You know your parents will punish you when they see your score. Today, you dread going home. Whether it's on report cards or test scores, everyone here has experienced the problematic practice of grading. In a survey given to the students of 7Y, 59.5% said they would work better with no grades or an alternate system. 46.8% said grades motivated them negatively, like for fear of being punished. This survey shows that traditional grading isn't working. Our system must change in order to help students thrive. Grades are subjective, based on the assessor's personal feelings. If the assessor is in a good mood, they may give higher marks than if they are unhappy. This is simply human nature. Imagine you're peer reviewing your classmate's project. Wouldn't you be more lenient if you're feeling happy? Grades can also be biased. A study published by 2 economics professors showed that good-looking women earn higher grades, while unattractive ones receive significantly lower ones. When the same students took online courses, a place where professors rarely see student faces, the attractive ones did not earn higher grades. How would you feel about getting a B simply because your teacher doesn't like your looks? Grade giving causes grade inflation, where teachers raise marks higher than a student deserves. This began in the 1960s, when low marks could send young men to fight in the Vietnam War. Today, inflation's a major problem because it doesn't accurately represent achievement. High grades, once reserved for superior students, are now being regularly given for average performance. According to Inside Higher Ed, awarding of A's has been going up 5 to 6 percentage points per decade, and A's are now 3 times more common than they were in 1960. Grade inflation can be hard to fight, as bad grades can be detrimental to students. It also leads to negative teacher-staff assessments. High anxiety and other mental disorders are linked to academic pressure, and many students are obsessed with grades because they equate them with success. Denise Pope, a senior lecturer at Stanford, conducted a survey involving students at 26 schools. 67% are often stressed about school. One of the questions Pope asked was, how is success defined? When parents answered, they said happiness, health, and giving back to society. However, when students responded, they said money, grades, and test scores. Our society has taught students to care more about academic scores than well-being. Letter grades strip away the point of school, learning. While some people claim they are necessary for college and job applications, the Chronicle of Higher Education reported that employers value experience and extracurriculars more than grade point average. We should learn from the people hiring us and incorporate this into our educational system. 50% of 7Y students like getting feedback with no grade. This is the assessment system I think we should use in schools. Non-graded evaluations with specific comments highlighting student strengths and weaknesses. Imagine receiving your report card and seeing positive comments highlighting your work ethic and responsibility, things that were never included when you got letter grades. Picture knowing specific areas you can improve on instead of agonizing over negative grades. Less stress, no inflated scores. This can become reality if we rethink our educational system. Once you get rid of letter grades, students will maximize their learning.
Our next speaker, Chloe DeVere. Chloe will be telling us about the dangers of social media.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. How many of you have used at least one of these sites? I have. Social media is incredibly popular, and I can see why. It gives you easy access to find friends, be creative, and socialize. But what if I told you that by using social media, you actually become less social? What if I told you that by using social media, you have nearly a 50% chance of getting cyberbullied? What if I told you that some people get so depressed from social media that they take their own lives. For 12-year-old Gabriella Green, Instagram had been the highlight of her afternoons. That was until two girls started commenting nasty messages. "You have STDs. Nobody likes you. Go kill yourself." This happened again and again for days until it became too much. One night, the innocent preteen was found unresponsive. She had hanged herself. Social media is a massive problem, and if we sit back and do nothing, it will only get worse. When we are on social media, we get so focused about how artsy our photos are or how many likes our posts get that we don't really take a step back to see what's going on in the world around us. What can also happen is when people post pictures or videos about themselves looking like they have a perfect life, it can make the viewer start to compare the illusionary perfect life to their own life. This can lead to lower self-esteem. According to Facebook, their mission is to bring the world closer together. But looking at the statistics, it seems obvious to me that this mission is not working. For example, a study made by cyberbullying.org in 2015 shows that 15% of students confess that they were a cyberbully during their lifetime. This is definitely not bringing the world closer together. It's tearing us apart. According to Shirley Kramer, the chief executive of the Royal Society for Public Health in the UK, quote, "Social media has been described as more addictive than cigarettes and alcohol, and is now so entrenched in the lives of young people that it is no longer possible to ignore it when talking about young people's mental health issues," end quote. I recently tried an experiment. I decided to delete Instagram to see if I would feel any different, and to be honest, I do. All these things I just talked about used to frustrate me, but when I stopped using it, I didn't need to worry as much. Now, I'm spending more time with the people I care about. I am not suggesting for you to stop using social media entirely. I am suggesting for you to use it less frequently and more responsibly. Social media is not fulfilling its original mission. It's an illusionary trap that can trigger antisocial behavior, depression, and even suicide. We obviously need to change something here, but companies won't do it. Schools won't do it. Lawyers won't do it. However, we, adolescents, can do it. We can make a change. A change not just to help people like Gabriella Green, but for the sake of our future. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Jordan Eldridge Sargapolatella. She will tell us about dyslexia.
George Washington, Walt Disney, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs, Muhammad Ali, Michael Phelps, Jordan Eldridge Sargapolatella. What do all of these people have in common? Dyslexia. Dyslexia is a language-based learning disability or disorder that includes poor word reading, word decoding, oral reading fluency, and spelling. Dyslexia is not a disease. It's a condition that you are born with, and it often runs in families. Dyslexia occurs in people of all backgrounds and intellectual levels. It has nothing to do with your IQ or associated with laziness or not working hard. In fact, it's just the opposite. I have to work harder, much harder. 20% of school-aged children in the US are dyslexic, and over 40 million American adults are too, but only 2 million know that they have this condition. Well, I know it. I was diagnosed with dyslexia and also dysgraphia, which is writing, and dyscalculia, which is math, 2 years ago. Yes, that's reading, writing, and math. But I'm only going to talk about my dyslexia since it's a pretty widespread disorder. My main problem with dyslexia is recognizing phonemes. I have a hard time sounding out the words. I'm not able to connect the letters to the sounds they make and understand them to form a word. I take so long to sound out the meaning that I then forget their meaning. Thus, I'm not able to comprehend what I've just read, so I have to read the same passage over and over again. I see fine, 20/20 vision, but my brain interprets something different than what my eyes see. It's like an optical illusion. Sometimes when I read, I accidentally skip a line. It throws me off a lot. Since my brain functions like this, I do my reading audibly. I have to listen to the audiobook while following the hard copy book. People with dyslexia use different parts of their brain than people without dyslexia. People with dyslexia use the left side of their brain, while people without dyslexia use the back of their brain. Pictures of the brain show that the brains of people with dyslexia don't work as efficiently while reading. So that's why reading's so hard for me. Having dyslexia means I also need a lot of support. I have a support team which includes my family, teachers, and other faculty whom I need to stay in constant contact with. This includes meeting every morning with my teachers, utilizing my study halls wisely, and having the courage to speak up for myself when I need help. With appropriate teaching methods, people with dyslexia can learn successfully. According to Austin Learning Solutions, over 50% of NASA employees are dyslexic. Every day, I work harder than my peers, and this can never stop. Through this determination, I also know that I'm preparing myself for the future. Life is not always easy. I'm developing important skills to never give up and a strong work ethic. I will be brave, I will succeed, I will be strong. I will fight to learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon. Our seventh speaker is Taylor Oga. The speech is entitled Beauty Defined.
In 2015, fashion was a $1.2 trillion global industry, and over $250 billion was spent annually in the United States. That's just the fashion industry. The beauty industry made $160 billion in 2003, encompassing makeup, health clubs, diet pills, hair care, and more. Both industries grew up to 7% a year, and both industries have done nothing but grown. Because of both industries' size, you almost always see a supermodel, famous movie star, or famous performer's face on a beauty product whose sole purpose is to sell you that product with their so-called beauty. These companies are trying to sell you their definition of beauty with their advertisings and marketing, and young girls are taking notice of it. Fashion and beauty companies should create advertising messages that better defines the true meaning of beauty. Beauty. What is beauty? Is beauty a person? Is it a feeling? Is it a product? What is beauty to you? Have you ever looked around and noticed that everything in society is made up of beauty? But what is the real definition of beauty? Well, I'll tell you. Beauty is happiness. Beauty is love. And beauty is who you are on the inside. So don't dismiss your own unique beauty and replace it with society's definition of it. Because everyone is beautiful, no matter what people say or do to make you feel otherwise. Beauty and fashion companies have their own definition of beauty, and you are exposed to it when walking through the mall and seeing window displays, walking through a department store aisle and seeing beauty products, watching TV advertisements, and reading a beauty or fashion magazine. The beauty industry works hard to market their definition of beauty to young girls in particular to alter their bodies. The fashion industry supports it by putting only pretty people with a mask of their makeup product on their advertising sources. Young girls, it can sometimes be punishing for young girls to look at themselves because their self-image is negatively altered by these advertisements. The problem is, we don't realize it until it really happens. It's hard not to want to be beautiful, but if we change the messages beauty and fashion companies send out, it could change how young girls feel about themselves. Companies such as Dove, JCPenney, Always, and Nike have taken the risk of putting everyday people in their ad campaigns, and it's breaking this one definition of beauty that beauty companies put out. It's important for other companies to take notice of what Dove and Nike are doing, and in turn, moving their marketing and advertising in the right direction, and move away from this unrealistic definition of it. Fashion and beauty companies should create advertising messages that better defines the true meaning of beauty, so that young girls can stop focusing on how they look and start focusing on who they really are. They should be able to look at themselves and have personal acceptance. Beauty encompasses not only the way you look, but who you are on the inside. Remember, don't judge a book by its cover. It's what's on the inside that's truly beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon. Our final speaker this morning is Rachel Wagner. The speech is entitled, "A Danger on Our Trails."
One Sunday morning in July of 2016, my parents and I were hiking with our family dog, like we often did on weekends, on the Aihualama Trail in Manoa Valley. One of the reasons we had moved to Hawaii a year before was because of the natural atmosphere, but we had no idea of the dangers that it could present. We turned a corner and a pack of hunting dogs lunged on my dog and started to attack her. They viciously mauled her while my parents and I watched, horrified, until the hunter pulled her out. But by that time, she was almost gone, and I will never forget the look in her eyes. After this experience, my family and I were traumatized, and it was then that we realized that this wasn't the first time this has happened on Oahu. This is why the use of hunting dogs when hunting for feral pigs should be banned. The hunting of feral pigs is a blood sport that is not only cruel to the pigs, but to the pack of dogs that are hunting them. The dogs are trained to hunt down, chase, and then corner the pig until the hunter can come and kill it. There is another method, however, where once the pig is cornered, the dogs will grab it by the ears in order to keep it still. During this, the pig almost always tries to defend itself, and in the process may puncture the dogs with its tusks, wounding them severely. When the hunter does come, it usually sticks the pig, which is stabbing it in the heart, causing a slow and painful death opposed to the quick one from a bullet. Another shocking thing is that sometimes the hunter does not even kill the pig, but instead removes the ears and tail of it, so that when or if the hunting dogs find it again, they have nothing to grab onto, and it is more of a challenge. The entire idea of this game sickens me. Hunters say they need to continue this cultural tradition of pig hunting because the population of pigs on the islands of Hawaii is extremely high. But hunting with dogs does not decrease the population. In fact, the population of pigs has increased immensely over the past decade. When hunters find any mother sow or offspring, they do not kill it like they should. Instead, they let them live so they will produce more of their species. In Australia, there have been cases of pigs being let into national parks with their ears cut off, just so they can be hunted again. This shows that hunters continue this sport to support their cultural traditions, but do not care about the actual problem. Hunting with dogs endangers family pets, people, and livestock because hunting trails overlap with private property and public hiking trails. On the Manana Falls Trail in Aiea, hunting dogs viciously attacked a husky named Nani. A black Labrador was dragged out of her own backyard and onto the Maleka Trail. My beloved little dachshund was torn apart in front of me, here in Manoa. This is happening all over our island, and yet it continues to happen again and again. Inga Gibson, the Humane Society Hawaii State Director, says, "There's no time like the present. Do we have to wait until another person is harmed or another pet is killed before the state says we need more regulations on hunting dogs?" Fear, confusion, and pure pain. That is what I saw in my beautiful dog's eyes on that peaceful Sunday gone horribly wrong. Hunting with dogs is cruel to the pigs, the dogs, it endangers family pets, and does not help our growing population of pigs decrease. If hunters did not use this disturbing method to fuel their adrenaline, this would have never happened to my family. Through this speech, I hope to bring awareness to this issue, because when an 11-year-old watches her dog fade from the world in pain, it stays with you forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Well, the judges have a hard decision in front of them. Each judge has to pick a first place, a second place, and a third place. Let me review for you what we heard. Evan spoke about standing up for the Uyghur people. He about stop trying to climb that tree, which is about the education system. Sophia on we need feminism. Eleanor on changing the grading system. Chloe on the dangers of social media. Jordan on dyslexia. Taylor on the definition of beauty. And Rachel about hunting dogs on trails. So, it'll take about 5 or 6 minutes while the judges are going to bring their papers down to Mrs. Teskey and me. Meanwhile, why don't you talk to the people around you and see if you guys can predict the top 3. If you can get it, you're pretty good. All right, the judge's decision is in, and taking the bronze medal, Sophia Hilton. Taking the silver medal, Evan Foster. And taking the gold. Amazingly, out of all these judges, with all these points, we have a tie for the gold. The tie is between Taylor Ogata and Rachel Wagoner, both of them. We will get another laser cut trophy made for one of you two. Thank you, everybody. You've been a great audience. Assembly dismissed.